back.
That's a good point.
This one right here.
Yeah, like, right?
Yeah. I wish well, maybe we...
I tell you, That's a good point.
This one right here.
Yeah, like, right?
Yeah. I wish well, maybe we...
People homeless, and the system that doesn't support you, and these groups that tell you to bang on the door of politicians. You can solve this problem now by acquiring these buildings. The group sponsoring this acquire some buildings, let people sleep and take showers there. Get some clean clothes and clean laundry. Common sense should be on every block, every 10 blocks. Common sense, man. You got money to blow people up on other countries. You got people to build this shit. Come on. Common sense. You keep banging on the doors of the least worst. The least worst politician. Who's the least worst? You, this one. Let's bang on his door and say, hey, this is what we got. Can you help us? Well, we'll give you a little crumbs.
Revolution! Revolution!
We give you little crumbs here and there. Nobody's thinking the revolution starts in the mind. It starts in the mind. It starts with the family. It starts with the family. It starts with the people around you. It starts with the people around you.
Uh-oh. You better quiet down. I better quiet down. He all right. 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 He's just opinionated.
They're the enemy. They think they're doing good until they're given an order that violates people. Then they do it anyway. They do it anyway.
Bubble that burst might be a little harsh for others because you're like, wait, this exists, you know, at this level. Because sometimes, you know, people see street homelessness as that's it. And then you come into a little bit more understanding of what really is, you know, the reach and the impact of homelessness. And it really can, like, shock you. We have people come out crying and saying, at 520 days, what are you talking about? You know, just unaware of that this was the scope of what was going on. And it's not even, this is just a small little screenshot. You cannot put all of what is homelessness in one exhibit. You would need multiple. I mean, so many entryways to come into this, come into homelessness. So, yeah, this is just a screenshot of family homelessness, and we wanted to educate the public. And fortunately, I think we got over, well, today, almost 300 people, but overall, we had over 1,000 people walk through and read, and yeah.
Between the last location and this location?
Yeah.
So we should, fingers crossed we'll end up over 2,000.
Yeah, that's the goal.
Quick question. Why?
So we believe that solving homelessness in New York City requires two big things. One of them is public demand and the other is political will, and you need to build both of those things at the same time. So you need the public to be saying, yes, I want this, and you need the people actually elected in office to also be saying, yes, I want this. And so this is, doing both of those things, but really about trying to build that public demand so that people actually care about this issue enough to talk to their elected officials and make this be something that they're prioritizing.
And so take it into those pockets, because right now the election has already happened. So, but what's going to happen is people are going to take this back and think of it like an ant farm. They're going to take this food back into their little colonies and talk about it and spread the word. We don't have to go into every pocket of New York City, but because we have this, they can take this put it on their social media. You know, share it with family and friends, share it in those groups that normally wouldn't even talk about homelessness. And then that way, once they go to their community board meeting or they see, you know, a family struggling, or they, you know, now it is time for voting. You're voting a little bit with more empathy. You're voting with a more understanding of what's at stake for people, you know? You may have a face or a name to it because we've been talking about it for so long, well, not but long enough on, you know, media and different platforms. And so, you know, building up that public empathy really takes educating and tearing down what you think you may know and replacing it with actual facts.
So that's a great thing. That's a good thing. So I guess we're gonna do this tour. You're gonna do it live or?
Two ways you can do it. You can, like, if you want to go through it once.
Yeah, I want to go through it without looking at my phone
and
first,
then go back and then
Okay, but you're gonna capture everything.
Yeah, and I can possibly take some pictures of you, but I'll do my full.
Yeah, it's not.
thing
To be
after.
honest with you, it's not even about me. It's really just about we're doing this together and stuff like that. So
Do it.
Yeah, first
Right.
and foremost,
you ready?
fun experience.
I gotta prepare. Like this shit might. This part of my special. This shit might be traumatizing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I done been through this a million times. God damn it. You know, honestly, I'm gonna keep it 100 with y'all. I had a few people that were interested in going, and the reality of people that are directly impacted is that these experiences are traumatizing. Sorry.
Yeah, for sure.
And I just came from my old shelter just now, and they was like, "You're gonna have to report back to us."
It's not
They were
for
like,
everyone.
"This is like, we kind of don't want to go through that experience because we live
They
it."
do,
you
yeah.
know? And so that's just, you know, that's just. It's not that simple. You know what I mean?
Somehow.
Yeah.
Right,
You don't have to show them how the
They've been
system
through it
is, so
and
that's
stuff.
what-
And then the other
they know.
side is what you were saying is that there are a lot of people, landlords, and sometimes it's easy to not just landlords. You got so-called NIMBYs and stuff, but there's a lot of people that it's not about them being racist, but in a lot of cases, I don't know if it's what the ratio is, but some are just uneducated. They just don't know.
Oh yeah.
And they've been fed these stigmas and stuff, and that was the only, it's probably, if I'm being correct about it, that's the only reason why I kind of exposed myself as a homeless hero, was really to eliminate those stigmas, to show that, you know, there's another side to the story, that we are humans, and we're not, you know, what the media and stuff is trying to depict us as. So having an experience like this to show
And there's actual
people of all backgrounds what it's like or what the process is, they can get an idea. I don't know, I didn't go through this, so I'm interested in. Y'all ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let me get ready. You know, prepare for this.
Where is this man?
Hey, come on, I need backup.
Listen, you got it. You let me know what you think.
Yes.
Let me get in front of you
Uh-huh.
instead of getting your backs.
Yeah, I know.
It's about time TV1. We're here.
I'm in Harlem, and they're like, there's a huge percentage of students in Harlem that are homeless.
Yeah.
And it's like the school has to adopt a whole plan of how to deal with homeless students. Like that's not the
Like
gang
laundry
violence,
on
not
site.
it's like they're homeless students. They come late, they may fall behind, they don't have access, they can't do the homework at the shelters, they may come hungry. You know, my son, I raised my son in the family shelter system. So we went through all of those experiences, and it was so difficult. You know, I always tell y'all that I don't even talk about that experience because it's a trillion times more traumatic than anything I've experienced on my own, you know, as a kid or as an adult, single adult. That's amazing. Left hand.
Can you state the name of your
Shams.
Your name?
That's Shams.
And where are you from?
Oh, I'm from all over. I'm from New York City, the
Okay,
Bronx and Harlem.
And what program you running?
I'm the
Use his
homeless
own.
hero. I'm the homeless hero, and I'm here with Upper West Siders for Open Hearts, otherwise known as Open Hearts Initiative. And then we have Sarah.
Sarah's kind of camera shy,
I'm
y'all.
camera shy today.
Yes, he's walking through the event, y'all. Yes, we are. Sharing their insights.
Yeah. I feel like this is in some ways like a big version of that.
Yeah.
Except with like a family focus.
It's
Like
big, right, and it's one that we're like physically moving through.
Right.
Oh, my school faster.
The only thing is that when they say like families, they're leaving out the fact that the single adults go through the same process.
right.
Right. Right.
And right now we have if I'm correct about the numbers, you have more single adults that are going into the shelter system than families, obviously because of eviction.
Yeah, I think that's true. Oh, I didn't even notice that. Oh, so these are all of the reasons why someone goes up. Systems.
So I'm looking at. Are y'all watching the side?
Yeah.
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 Oh nah, these are the things that obviously speak against those stigmas, because most people think it's just a person who's dealing with substance abuse disorder or mental illness, but this could be just fleeing domestic violence. This could be a person losing their job.
These are things that happen to everybody. And then you think, like, you know, just coming from a place of privilege. I mean, like, you know, I've lost my job, I've had medical bills, but I've had, like, the resources and, like, the people to fall back on. And not everybody has that. So seeing this really makes you think, like, oh, you know, they're my poor.
Totally. Yeah. Hey.
So you would be awesome. Let's do this.
Whatever.
Did you get the first one?
The first one? Over there, the first one?
Yeah.
Oh, pardon me.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yes. Go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like these signs.
Simple misconception. Some people are like, you're homeless, you know, you should have not used drugs, or you're homeless, you know, you should have had a job. There's just so many reasons, all different types of people that are in the shelter experience of homelessness.
Everybody?
Yeah, that's so true. The not being eligible to this process. all of these things. Yeah.
My son and I had this favorite thing when we said it was like every 10 days, because they give you 10 days, and every 10 days we come into the room and we see the sign, the little note on the door. It's a big letter that says ineligible, and we knew that we would have to pack everything, go back to EAU, and start the process. And the problem was that they would send us somewhere else now. You never stayed in the same shelter. So we would be in Brooklyn one set of 10 days. We would be in Manhattan. We would be, so during school time was the most difficult.
Yeah, so
time
how did that
because,
work?
To be honest with you, that's when I would have to leave. And one time I ended up leaving to go to another state because it was like, I got to find a way to stabilize him so that he could actually go through the school process.
Right.
And it took a while before I came back, and it's a whole nother story. So think about, this is a lot of stuff, right? And then think about people that are coming from other countries. You can come through if you want. Think about immigrants who are here. Like I was always on the phone with Union, and a lot of this stuff, he's been in the shelter system for 6 years.
Because he doesn't have something.
Simply because he doesn't have the green card. He doesn't have the job.
Yeah.
Like all of these things.
Because you don't qualify for so many different
so he's just stuck
and
in a shelter. And it's like, it takes so much, especially for a person that's coming as an immigrant, to get all of these
some of these things, I'm like, I don't know where my birth certificate is.
Exactly.
I think probably my parents have it a few states away.
And if you don't have money, it's difficult to obtain. So just think about the 90 days.
Such a backward system.
Damn, I've been through all of this stuff. Yeah. I've been through all of this. And the thing when the baby something. And I couldn't. So that bigger
and there was no child care.
No child. And if you're in a certain community, sometimes it's hard to get a child. Because they're like, sometimes they're not going to live for whatever reason. And my son had to travel 2 hours to school. 2 hours to school. 2 hours. He had a teacher that had to meet him at a certain point to help get him there quicker because he was always missing the first day. We got 400 days, huh? That's amazing. They said we can search for the I'll call you back. So this isn't to get to. I mean, that's it. There's so many other factors that
Totally.
So now, honestly, the only thing I look at with this, you know, honestly, I'm gonna say that there's a lot of other things that that's not addressing, which is the administrative barriers that causes landlords to reject rental assistance.
Right.
You know, so it's easy to just put it all on the landlords, but that takes the culpability away from the city.
Yeah.
You know, if the cities is taking so long to process an application, why would that landlord wait for you know, for a tenant?
Right.
And then if that happens once or twice, I don't even want to deal with that stuff because I already know how long that takes.
Yeah.
You know, so why is that not?
Yeah.
That part needs to be discussed as well, because that's a major barrier. That's a major reason why landlords are saying no. And then we're now stuck in that narrative without realizing that why would I, if my average apartment is going for $1,500, $1,900, and your voucher caps at $1,200, you're telling me to reduce? No, why would I be forced to take that? I don't want to be in that business. You know, so it's like it was important to get the vouchers raised to make it more attractive to landlords. You know, but there are reasons why many landlords refuse to accept the vouchers. That it's not simply housing discrimination against black or brown people. A lot of that is just the way the administration of these vouchers are, and that has to be taken into consideration.
Which still constitutes structural racism.
And that's
It's a way that the city is not doing its job. That regardless of the intent, it's disproportionately affecting black and brown people.
Exactly. And that's the real bigger picture thing, you know.
I feel like this part I don't know much about, so I'm curious.
Okay. Well, that's kind of like where we was just going. Okay, so this landlord accepted the voucher. Your apartment fails inspection. I went through all of this. The average person, since they were, for some reason, so how you say, they were so eager to get me housed. They were like, I don't care. I don't care if the windows is out. Get them in there. we gotta expedite this guy. Get him out of here. But but too, they was doing things like if the door was an inch off, you know, it's like, no, we can't take the apartment.
It's such a hard balance because I understand why there need to be like safety standards, but it's also just like, it's not like there's a better option for someone if they can't get that apartment. Like,
well, the problem sometimes is like in this case, they say the legal bedroom. You know, they create barriers. And what, you know what a legal bedroom is? If the voucher only covers a studio, a one bedroom is a no-go. Even though the landlord is saying, wait, I'll take the voucher. Like, I'm okay with the amount. I'll take it.
City's saying
It's saying no because this only covers studios and not one bedroom. That one bedroom will be a illegal bedroom.
But if it doesn't meet health and safety standards. You know,
No, that's different.
They could provide incentives to landlords or like
to improve that or funds, and that's
that's the thing that's crazy. Like, okay, it doesn't meet standards, let's fix it.
Now, here's the thing. That's one of the things that the landlords have said. They said, look, what it costs to fix this apartment up to meet those standards, with the vouchers being so low, it doesn't make sense to us.
Right.
If they were able to give us an incentive, we'd fix the apartment up. If they were able to give us some tax breaks like they do to big developers, then we'd be able to utilize those benefits to fix the apartments up and make sure that they meet all of the requirements. But it's like there's no real working with landlords in order to have that established. There are landlords that want to do it, you know. I'm not advocating for landlords. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying I'm for the people. The city rejects the lease terms.
Why would the city reject the lease terms? Sorry. I wonder what the problem.
I don't know why they would. That is something I haven't seen really.
I mean, I know it happens.
Because, you know, a general lease is a general lease, you know?
Yeah.
And we're in New York, obviously, we're protected by, you know, legally in so many ways when you're doing a lease. So, you know, that's kind of something different. That's something that I would want to know.
Yeah. Okay, so then you
The code to confirm with this person. You move through the review process and have signed a lease.
I think we're going to get to some of the
other stuff,
administrative
right?
challenges.
It's not over
Your
yet.
rental assistance payment to the landlord is delayed. Your paperwork is delayed.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing. We'll ask Erin about this. Make a note of this, because I've done this process, but I didn't sign a lease until everything was approved. So I don't know if this comes first.
Oh.
It may come that I'm willing to accept the apartment. That's one thing. But I signed something to that nature, but it wasn't an official lease. So
There we are. There it is.
it's delayed. You need help moving with your children. Can't get your belongings. That's a major problem too.
Yeah.
Because sometimes they don't even want to give you money with that. Yep, I've never even seen anybody get money for that. But no furniture. Your paperwork is delayed. You must wait for the city to issue your rental payment. Oh, you already know that. Yeah. Couldn't have accessing all that.
Guess the number.
What the average length of time is?
Well, for me, I think, and remember, I'm in an expedited situation.
Yeah.
Yes.
For me, it was like we had. I saw the apartment in maybe December.
Thank you.
I was ready. Yeah, definitely December. I was ready to take it in January. That was supposed to be like the move-in day. Nothing process. Couldn't do it. So I had to wait all the way to February, and still everything wasn't ready. And I'm in an expedited situation. But it was like, you figure this landlord had to wait about 3 months until I got into the apartment. After seeing the apartment in late November and agreeing that this is the apartment I want, I'm good, I'll take it. It still took a long time to go from point A to point B. And the only thing that I'm lucky is that the landlord worked with me.
Right.
You know, and the landlord wanted me in that apartment. The average landlord is not going to wait 3 months for one person and go through all this paperwork and back and forth.
Without any
and stuff.
check for this.
And they still ain't get a check.
Foregoing the rent.
And you're not getting paid for those 3 months.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so in New York's housing market, everybody is looking for some space. You know, so it's like, you know, I'm gonna go with whoever comes with the checks. You know, so that is a major barrier. But with what the answer to your question, I'm thinking 3 months. It would be safe to say 3 months.
It's so crazy that it takes that long. Like, why does it take that long to literally send a check?
Now I'll tell you another thing. With the paperwork process, once I approved an apartment, the what do they call it? The investigating part takes place. So the inspection, etc. So one of the barriers they have is this. They send you a checklist of what needs to be right for the apartment, what needs to be right with your paperwork. The problem, there's one simple problem, is when they send you something back to correct, instead of giving you a line-by-line item of each thing, they send it one by one. So take care of this first, then resubmit it. Oh, and then this is wrong too. Then take care of that, then resubmit it, then take care, and that whole process takes weeks. Because now you're dealing with backlog, people that are dealing with backlogs, you know, case managers, house inspections, you know, obviously they don't have that type of capacity. The bureaucracy is bad. And at a cost, because we're in the shelter now. So this is at a cost for a single person at what, 3,400? A family could go up to 6,000 a month. It's ridiculous. By the time you go through that process, it could have paid the rent for at least half a year to a year. And that's just bureaucracy. I saw the apartment. I'm good. My paperwork is straight. Let's go. Just the bureaucracy. Makes no sense.
Did you finally get in? Please tell
I
me.
finally got it.
Bravo.
I had a great landlord that said, I'll wait for you.
Oh, wonderful.
I also had a case against the city, so I had to wait. I had to, I had to take my time,
You have to recertify.
Yeah, now here's the thing.
Do you have to submit all the same documents?
Almost.
Almost, yeah.
Almost.
So many.
Everything. Yeah. And the recert was like a pain. I would send my recert in and like it would get lost. One year I got like a letter, a physical letter in the mail. Like I had sent my recert documents to somebody. I didn't get any response. And one year I got a letter saying like, you did not do your recertification. You're at risk of being evicted. And I was like, what?
You're like, I sent it in.
I like made all these calls to the administrators. I was like, I'm not getting evicted. I sent you my stuff. And
Now-
they had,
Now, here's where the traumatic people don't measure in the trauma. Because the fear of eviction for anybody, I don't care who you are, what income, what doesn't matter. The fear of being in the streets is something serious. And the thing, like you just said, I got my recertification maybe in August. And I'm like, wait a minute, I ain't even been here, and you didn't pay the bill for 6 months.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm already getting eviction
Right.
notices,
Yeah.
and you telling me recertify for something you're not even paying the rent for. I'm gonna be homeless again.
Yeah.
And it was like, and so I did that. Now, obviously, I took care of the other stuff, in terms of getting the rent paid. But I'm still dealing with a little anxiety over the fact that, did they accept it? They never told me if the research went through.
Went through, yeah. They're very, and they are. They're
tell you?
terrible about the follow through.
Yeah.
So like that year after I got my letter, I would be like emailing and calling, being like, "Tell me you got the thing that I sent." And I would I got to the point where I would just show up at the person's office and be like, "Did you get am I recertified? Good. We good? Okay, great."
Now let me tell you something. And here's the realities, the other things that we have to look at, because these are not discussed often. Take a person with mental illness. Take a person that has been chronically homeless and doesn't really know how to properly adjust in the environment of having an apartment. It's much easier to go with what we know, which is, I'd rather go to the shelter. I'd rather go homeless. There's more stability in that, or be on the streets, because there's more stability than just dealing with the trauma of, dang, they throwing me right back out.
Yeah.
If you're a person that's dealing with substance abuse, those are the coping mechanisms. So it just exacerbates those issues that people who have been struggling with homelessness may already have. When you're supposed to get stable, there's still barriers even after entering in your apartment. So I'm dealing with this stuff in real time. So I'm like, what the hell is going on now? Whoa, what is this?
What does home mean to
I like how they got the mirrors.
Chocolate on my face this entire
what is this?
time?
Well, what it means is I need to stop cooking too much.
you? Just feels like chocolate on my face this entire time.
Oh, I guess that's the purpose of the mirror, right?
Yeah. Yeah. For me to be like, oh, good.
I guess it's about reflection.
And being like, it could be anything.
It's reflection. Okay, I'm on to something now. Let's ask the question. What does it mean to you?
A safe place, a place where I feel comfortable, a place I can come back to.
Very similar, a place where I can feel like I belong, a place where I can feel, comfortable, a place that's going to be there when I need it.
You mind me asking?
I've lived in the same place for 54 years, so
Wow.
I feel very, very blessed. Just around the corner.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So I feel very blessed.
And safe.
Yes, and absolutely, and safe.
The security of
Yes.
the home is important.
Yes.
It doesn't matter income or where you live or where you come from. Just the security of being able to walk into your own place. What about you?
I think a home is like a place where I can let down all of my guards and masks, because I think you carry all of that stuff around, and you need at least some time where you can just let all that down for at least a little while before you have to put all your armor back on and go back out into the world.
You feel so safe when you have a home.
Yeah.
You really do. You feel like everything else that you have to battle out on the street, you can do it. Because you're given that sustenance, and you're allowed to regroup and to really, get yourself together before you go out to face whatever. And it's so important.
And for me, it's like definitely safety.
Yes. Are you still in the same place?
Oh yeah, just for a nice couple of months now. Prior to that, I was chronically homeless.
Good.
But it's a difference. But I also tell you this: it's also an adjustment.
Yes.
When you dealing in the experience of homelessness, you kind of learn how to survive, and so that becomes normalized now. You follow that normal routine. So just putting the key in the door and having your place, it's not, for me, doesn't necessarily mean I'm comfortable. Because I was more comfortable in, surviving the way I was surviving. So now just remembering, you don't have to buy a sandwich and gulp it down in the streets. You can literally take it upstairs, heat it up in the oven that you have, and sit down and take your time and enjoy it. Chew it right, If I'm used to eating out of soup kitchens, you always want to eat fast to make room for the next person. So you're in your own home.
Well, and you're also hungry.
Yeah, but you're in your own home and you're still gulping it down because you've been doing it for so long. So there's an adjustment period before, even with your own home, you start to feel safe. You start to feel, look, you're all right. Nothing's going to happen to you. You don't have to be on guard. The shelter staff is not going to open up the door and stuff like that, or nobody's going to be lighting up drugs right here, So it's like, it's an adjustment period. But, if once you get past that adjustment period, then you start to realize, wow, I feel a sense of dignity. Just being able to have my own space, being able to be me, and being able to take a shower when I want to take a shower, being able to cook. Like my biggest thing, I'm not the best cook, but I'm enjoying learning. That's like one of those self-care things for me. Just being able to like turn everything off, watch a YouTube video, and be like, yeah, I'm gonna make this. Oh yeah, how did you not put? Okay.
I'm always impressed with how many things you try.
Yeah, and it's like, this thing is like, look, especially if it tastes like how it tastes in a restaurant, I'm like, oh man, these oxtails is
I know the oxtails that I was thinking of.
Yeah, the oxtails had me like, I was like, I am the man.
I gotta hear more about this.
Yeah, but that's part of the value of your own. It's like, damn, I didn't even understand how like good it feels just to cook my own meal. Like the satisfaction of saying, of being able to just cook my own meal. And these are things that I don't know if everybody understands how important it is in just self-care, just wellness. And so that's good. Being able to, one thing I learned is something called the 8th dimension of wellness, right? Or, people use the wellness wheel. And one of those things in that wellness wheel is basically it maps out the different dimensions of your life. And one of them is like environmental wellness, and when your environment. So your home is your environment. How do you set that up? How is it clean? And how, and do you have a candle? Whatever it is. For me, I got one plant that has lasted. Like and that plant is the life in my house. You know, I cut it off and I was growing the other leaves, and one of the leaves started to die, and I feel so bad I can't throw it away. I'm doing everything I can to save the leaf, because I'm like, yo, this is in life. This is in my house. This is on my watch. You can't die in here. We have
Did you
life
end up
in here.
saving it, or did you have to just get rid of it?
Nah, it's still there. I'm still trying to do what I can do. I talk to it every day. Like, come on, man. Like, it's a bright day. What I need to do? You know, the other plant is good, but I was told that as it gets bigger, take off a piece of it and stuff. But this is also
like propagated or whatever.
Yeah. But I think I failed in that, and I can't do it. But just think about what that means to a person who's been chronically homeless and who doesn't know, who may not know the value of having plants, having a pet, and these things, you know, that actually can give you some sense of wholeness, some sense of, you know, connection and stuff like that. So that's where having your own is so important. It's important. So did we miss anything?
Well, I think there's a little bit more now. There's like,
Sorry. I think these are alternate. This is
What do you think?
Yeah. I'm excited for this.
Oh
yeah.
Oh, all right. Let's see what this is all about.
Alternate process, maybe.
yeah, I'm gonna borrow some of these.
Yeah, let's borrow some of these ideas.
You have it. Okay.
Did we miss something over there? No. Uh-oh. Oh, that's...
So I think,
Wait,
look, this is
imagine this instead.
Okay, gotcha.
We're in your neighborhood. Single assessment system. Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I want to get him back.
right. Your shelter stay is brief because all of the services of shelter are supposed to connect to you.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
This one right here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wish well, maybe we could, they'll probably know.
Wow, very,
It took
very.
a little minute to read it.
What are you filming for, may I ask? Brick community meeting. Okay, I've heard of it, yes. Wonderful.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine if you could call 311 and get help. Wow.
This is something. Yeah. Everybody.
Do you film all day with people
Absolutely.
coming around, or is just this
Everybody should be given an aftercare case.
Yeah.
It shouldn't just be for some
I see.
more supportive housing. You know, there's so many things that I could benefit from if I had a patient. There's a whole bunch of things. You know, and so that's the bottom line. Just to make sure that you're able to stay with your family. So it's, I always said that it's beyond just having the kids. That's the ultimate goal, but there's so much more to it.
Robust, flexible, long-term.
Yeah.
Rental assistance right now is like none of those things.
Right.
Yeah.
That's so true. I wonder what that looks like. I mean, that's not like the most important one, but I'm curious.
Wait. Did you say a transparent?
Well, no, I'm not saying it's.
Well, I feel like it's tied to this.
Yeah, I'm curious what that looks like day to day. Because,
Like, no, I think about it like,
like, I wonder what data point.
I think about it like, you know how you go to University Health and hospitals, like to get your vaccine or to get
a
COVID
visit
test.
summary.
But you also get a MyChart account.
Yep.
And like if you are going to a different health system, like I go to Mount Sinai, you have a MyChart at Mount Sinai. You could connect them and they'll talk to each other.
Wait, really?
And like then so now like every
good to know, actually.
doctor
Yeah,
at Mount Sinai who might treat me has access to like all of my health records, not just from Mount Sinai, but from like HHC. So they can see when like I went to HHC and got a COVID test, and they can also see like all of my stuff from Mount Sinai.
Right.
And they know like, oh, she has this, we can't give her this drug. We have to, so like, and that's been a thing that's been like trying to happen for a long time in the medical world, like, you know, single like electronic charts.
Right.
But it would be so great if in the case management system,
Yeah. And it's not like that.
and it's not.
It's not like that. It's like, it's almost like, even like when I first went into the shelter, I had to tell the same story at least 4 different times. And even after you go 3 months in, still, like, if I'm talking to someone at the recovery center, they have never had a conversation with the person, with the case manager in the shelter component. So I'm like, wait a minute. Like, y'all don't talk? Like, you can't just look in the computer and, like, you didn't give her the information? And it's like, these are also barriers. Because when you're being assessed, you're being assessed, you got to do the, how do you call it, psychosocials, right? So if you're, let's say, in recovery or you're receiving treatment for mental illness, obviously there's assessments being made. So why would I see someone else to do a whole nother assessment?
Right. Well, that's one thing they say here, like universal.
Why don't you call my psychiatrist and get the psychosocial from them?
And also, every time you have to repeat,
And you gotta.
you're
that's
having
the
to
part.
relive your trauma.
I don't know you,
Right.
and this is just for housing. You know what? I don't want the housing because I'm not going through all that.
Right.
You know, or I'm not going to tell you everything because I don't know you. You're not a psychiatrist. You're not the one I trust. You know, and you represent the shelter component. And since they dehumanize me so much, you know, I don't trust you anyway. These are the real life things that we go through that make us say, nah, this is where improper assessments are given.
Yeah.
So people are not able to get the services that they really need or place where they need to be placed because of those of the process of the way they do this. It's such a dehumanizing process, and there's no synergy. You know, so there's no synergy. You didn't even talk to my psychiatrist.
Right.
I don't even have a connection.
Right.
And the way you're treating me, I don't even want her to tell you my business. You know, and so those are things that I originally was addressing because I already saw that something was wrong. I didn't understand all the dynamics, but I was like, wait. So if I come in here with a problem in the shelter, you're not going to speak to my case manager in the outpatient unit?
Yeah.
To say something's up with this guy, you know, is he all right? And then you don't know, like it could be I had a death in the family, it's COVID, somebody, you know. So you didn't think to call my psychiatrist to check me out since I haven't seen her in the past 4 weeks? Like, no, just sign your ILP every 2 weeks so I can justify my job and our money. That's a whole nother thing, but I'm in there going through crisis until, you know, and I'm using me to make it general, until I OD in the bathroom because no one saw that I needed help.
Right.
And you got the outpatient right next door.
Right.
So just to your point, no synergy on that level.
Yeah.
No, that makes a lot of sense in terms of the data.
What's the solution?
And then you just have accountability part.
Right. I was trying to think about like what we would. Yeah, I don't know what DHS is required to report. Like, what would be useful things?
Well,
What are the?
look, first of all, if they were able to understand this, you could set certain metrics up.
Oh no, I think it's useful. I'm just realizing I don't know much about like what are the things that you they don't like.
Everything.
Yeah.
If I'm correct, it said that DHS is the least transparent agency under all the city agencies.
That feels accurate to me, just
Am
anecdotally.
I correct? If anybody's studied the different
It also
agencies.
gives fuel to, not in my backyard people.
Oh my God,
Because
yeah.
they can say, I'm like, well, we have no idea what kind of people are going to be at the show because DHS doesn't share things like live records.
Constantly,
People have,
yeah.
So you don't
sex
even know
offenders,
if-
whatever. So then they can make up all kinds of bullshit. And there's no way to prove them wrong or verify it because DHS is sitting on all.
Well, that happened to us.
Right.
When we came into the Upper West Side, their simple thing was, look, we got to treat all people with that. We got to treat all addicts and criminals, like humans. And I'm like, what? Like, you couldn't give a better explanation to the community to let them know first and foremost, everybody that is here experiencing homelessness is not an addict, is not mentally ill, is not from the criminal justice system. Like, don't put us all in one box. That's number one. Could you be more expressive about the population of what you're doing? And the reality is they're not going to do that because they're not doing anything. The reality is that all they do is they're housing people without services, and they're perpetuating the problems without solving them. So they're managing it. And I'm being nice about it, I'm being nice because I'm with RX Home. They're kind of nice, They're not as radical as you open hearts people are. I'm just joking. But
One approach.
but
You can't even see it. You gotta fucking walk
but
inside.
truth be
Why
told,
can't I see without
see,
it?
somebody's probably talking about experience, But
Having
the accountability, Sarah, is extremely important on so many levels, even with the providers, as we see with the recent cases, which is
One
normal.
thing I was thinking about is how, like, in conversation with people I've heard that, like, the city incentivizes providers to, like, track how long it takes to get people into housing and, like, do it faster. But that often what that means is, like, that providers just get people, like, into substandard housing to, like, meet those, like, thresholds, but they don't actually, like, do a good job. And I was thinking about, like, I wonder what are better ways to, like, track those outcomes.
Right. But a system that like incentivizes shelter providers to like keep people in shelters also like
Totally. Yeah, exactly.
So I was trying to be nice, but my whole thing is going back to the systemic racial element of this, and I always tie it to the real estate and to gentrification and all those different things. But it goes all in line with how they systemically keep Black and brown people and poor people in these conditions. So the system is basically poverty pimps. There's such a huge industry in homelessness and sheltering that there's no invested interest in stopping it.
Yeah.
It's just how can we continue to make sure that we get that money?
it's like a latter day.
Yeah, when you pour like this, and you, especially if you're dealing with issues, you sort of become a good commodity. Like, the more problems you got, the more you're gonna stay stuck, and the more we're gonna be able to benefit from it.
Yeah.
We'll be able to benefit from it. You can see the other part if you want. But the more, so it's like, I got some stuff that's coming that's gonna show all of those dynamics. And it's stuff that's been talked about, but we've, through FOIL, have been able to get certain documents to show that there's a correlation between them closing down mental health facilities, reducing the beds for people receiving treatment for substance use disorder and mental illness, obviously, and people being paroled out of jail. That has basically increased the level of homelessness in the city. And all of this is tied to gentrification, to allowing these big real estate developers to come into communities, destabilize the people that are in the communities. And when I be talking about the racial factor, I know what I'm talking about. Not just because I lived there, but the facts are there. But there's literal documents to show that the state has decided we're not going to put money here. We're going to take money from there. So you create in clusters, so to speak, of where people are destabilized, where crime is going to rise, where mental illness is going to increase, substance abuse is going to increase. And that's going to fuel two systems: the prison industrial complex and the homeless shelter industrial complex. And this is something that is classic with white supremacy. It's classic. This is not new.
We had two young children, people, who just exit out of this here event that's going on. And my name is Onita Gaskins. I'm from It's About Time TV1, Brick TV station, downtown Brooklyn, 647 Fulton Street. I came out here to film this here little event and ask a little questions about how do people feel about this here type of event when you just seen it. You can state your name if you would like to.
Hi, I'm Kayla. I think that honestly this event, I feel like I wasn't very aware of the realities of homelessness and how the problem is solvable. I think that going through it, I learned a lot more than I had known before, and it was really eye-opening. Like, I'm not really from here, so I don't really have I don't see a lot of homelessness where I'm from, so I think it's like coming here and seeing this, it makes it all real and like puts it into perspective.
Where are you from?
I'm from Florida.
What part?
I'm from Palm Beach.
Oh, okay. How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 19.
Great. And you?
I'm 19 as well.
And you from here?
I'm from Los Angeles.
Wow.
Yeah. So I would say, you know, being from LA, there is a really big homeless problem there as well. But, you know, if you don't promote things like this, it's very hard to just go about your life and not worry about it. And we go to school at NYU, and you know there's a big homeless community around there, and oftentimes I feel like it's just so easy to scoot past and go to class, and you know you just kind of ignore it. But I think it's really important to, you know, call attention to it, because there is something that we can do, and as people who have security, whether it be financial or, you know, home-wise, it's important that we use our privilege to call attention to something like this.
How did it make you feel when you went inside, young lady?
I honestly felt really emotional. I think I take for granted everything that I have, and I'm very grateful for like the situation that I've been able to I've been put in by my parents, but I just think that not everyone has that same opportunity, and I think it just it made me emotional and more aware, self-aware of like myself and like other people's lives.
Would you recommend anybody else to come and take a look at this?
I definitely do. I think you learn so much just from just 3 minutes of walking around, and like I've learned more in there about like this problem than I would have just like walking around.
How do you feel about this?
Yeah, it was really eye-opening. All the statistics, and I really enjoyed like the walking through like the process of, you know, you're talking to your case manager, you find out that you can qualify for rental insurance, and help. And I just thought it was so eye-opening. I really enjoyed it. I would totally recommend everyone to walk through. It's a quick minute and a half.
Yeah.
It's really, really important.
So since you've seen what's going on with the solving about the homeless, what do you think as 19-year-olds, what do you think the solution can be for this problem that we're having, this crisis?
I feel like it's such a loaded problem in and of itself, that the solution I feel like isn't very simple and cut and clear. I know that there are, just from what I have known prior, I just know that there are facilities that can house people that are homeless, but they aren't, I learned about it in here as well, but they aren't they're very restrictive. There's a lot of rules. It kind of puts them into their own little block. I think that honestly first there just needs to be an addressing of the problem. We see it because we're out here all the time, but I think people in government need to know that it's more than just homeless, whatever, a statistic. They're real people with real lives.
Yeah, I think it's important to educate yourself and then kind of do research on politicians or policies that support ways to solve homeless housing instability. Yeah.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Are we
What
live?
did you think of the tour?
I thought it was very informative. I thought some aspects of it are still deeply upsetting.
Yeah.
Specifically, how exhausting of a process this seems to be.
Yeah.
I was a bit shocked as well that at various times where you think an individual might think that they have a home, they're turned away. They're also turned away by the people who are supposedly out to support them. The city can, it seems like, somewhat arbitrarily deny them access to rental assistance, where people who aren't experiencing homeless otherwise would have gotten that apartment. And I find that to be rather frustrating.
Yeah. Just think people go through this process every day. I was one of them back in 2006.
Yeah.
All of that with my children. I have 5 sons.
Yeah.
And it's overwhelming. It's almost traumatizing.
Yeah.
You know, and although that's very, very far behind me and my sons,
Yeah.
you know, we still, like when I first went through this exhibit, it just conjured up all of those memories.
Yeah.
So I had a moment, you know, looking back, and I mean, now it's even worse, and there's going to be an increase in homelessness.
Yeah.
As soon as they remove the moratorium, it's going to be a whole lot more people who's going to find themselves at our homes that never thought that they would be in a situation that they would have to go through a shelter system.
Yeah.
You know, and so I'm glad that this is here to bring the awareness and literally to prepare people for when they have to go through the shelter system and homelessness, because a lot of people don't have a clue.
Yeah.
And so something like this kind of prepares them, brace them, hopefully, and they'll be able to, you know, have more fortitude as they go through the process as it currently stands. And then I like the fact that they offer solutions.
Totally.
Yeah, you know, so that at least, you know, cut down the process in some ways, so that it's less trauma, you know, and people can come through the process closer to being whole.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah. But thank you for coming through and, you know, analyzing it so aptly.
Yeah.
That's all
Thank
right.
you for sharing it with us.
Yeah.
And as you know, concerned fellow New Yorkers, what would you say that we care about? You know, all New Yorkers living in the city. What would you say that like we can do to help push forward some of these solutions? Is it sharing what we've learned today? Or?
Spread the word.
Yeah.
What you learned today. Spread the word. Have the conversation. Talk about it with your friends, with your families, because even though you might have a secured housing right now, you know, we're in a pandemic. So many things have just changed literally overnight. So, you know, you might be in secure housing right now, but that's not promised tomorrow, next month, next year. You understand? So have the conversation, you know, talk to your politicians and continue to put the pressure on to change the policies and implement systems that work not only for people who are currently homeless, but work policies that work for all New Yorkers, you know, regardless of where you live or where you used to live.
Yep.
You know, because homelessness can happen to anybody at any point in time. No one asked to be homeless. Most people that find themselves in a situation that they don't have a home, something catastrophic happened.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
You lost your job. Disaster happened.
Yeah.
Landlord just said, you know, I'm not renewing your lease. You know, family situation, change in family situation. I myself went to the shelter just before going through a divorce. You know, that rendered me with nothing. You know, and so life situations, they continue to happen. So, you know, you can become homeless at any time, anywhere. Homelessness affects all walks of life. So, you know, spread the word so that people can stop saying, oh no, that's not going to happen to me, oh not me, oh I don't want those people near me, you know, that kind of thing. But for the grace of God, there go I. You know, so yeah, that's what I would say. I would just encourage my fellow New Yorkers, you know, don't look down on people that currently don't have a home. When I was in the shelter, I used to think that, you know, it was a place where a lot of mentally ill people were there, and criminals, people who don't work. There were people there that had 3 and 4 jobs, that they went to work every single day, and with 3 and 4 jobs did not have enough money to secure their own housing. Okay, why? Because rents are so high, and they weren't eligible because they made a penny over the eligibility. So they were not qualified for this, but they qualified for that. And if they went over 2 cents over the eligibility, then all of a sudden they're not qualified for any of it. And they got to start over. And they couldn't really get certain jobs because they didn't have a home. They didn't have no catch-22 all day. And these were people who were stable-minded, had families, worked really, really hard. They just simply did not you know. And then no one's talking about people who came out of the shelter, went into temporary housing, and wound up coming back to the shelter. You know, it's you know, what do you say to that? You know, so I would just encourage everyone to, you know, be compassionate, have the conversation, brace yourselves, you know, speak to your young people, because it's a lot of young people in shelters from ages 18 to 30. That age range. There's a lot of them in shelters because, you know, they leave home or they're put out and they are not financially equipped to secure their own housing. So where do they go? They go right to the shelter and they stay there for several years. You know, so talk, have the conversation, keep the pressure on the politicians, you know, and prayerfully, you know, things will change.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Are y'all New Yorkers?
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Thank you for sharing. Enjoy your evening.
Yeah, all right.
Okay, enjoy your evening.
Take care. Have a good night.
You too.
Thanks.